get started.
I know it's hard to believe, but it's already time to put 2022 in the rear view, quite literally today, and look ahead to 2023. And so here at MHP Team SI, we are gathering a group of our marketing experts to look ahead at 2023 marketing predictions. Today, we're joined by Tanner Ward, who is the Vice President for SI Auto, the newest division of MHP Team SI. How are you doing today, Tanner?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good.
Good.
So 2022 is an exciting year for you personally and for your division because it's a brand new division. SI Auto began in 2022. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So SI Auto is the oldest division and now the newest division of Team SI. We were, our first clients as an agency were automotive clients. And so we've been doing automotive advertising for a long time. And we wanted to just put a new focus on auto for this year. And so we rolled out the SI Auto brand and came up with, new branding, new logo, all that kind of stuff. We are working on expanding to some new dealerships in some new areas. So part of that push was, creating sales materials and just kind of putting names on stuff we've been doing for a long time. So that was back in the summer. And so we've been going for about 6 months now. And it's really exciting to have a new focus on automotive and try to start building up on what we've been doing already for 10 years.
Awesome. Yeah, that's really exciting. So let's take a look back, other stuff going on in 2022, especially in the automotive industry. I know there were some challenges that COVID presented to the automotive industry, especially with supply chain shortages. Did we come out of that in 2022? And also, what kind of strategies did you use to cope with those challenges that supply chain shortages and inventory shortages pose to car dealerships?
Mm-hmm. We are starting to come out of it, but we probably won't be fully out of it until probably late next year. So a lot of, when COVID started, manufacturing facilities, there's a lot of people there in an enclosed space, and a lot of times they're pretty close together. So they had to adjust their work times the amount of time that they were in the factories and how they were doing things. So output just slowed a lot. And some automakers were having challenges before COVID started with strikes and things like that. So they've just kind of been in behind for almost 3 years now. So it's taken a long time to get out of that funk that they're in. And so they're starting to, just like every industry, there are issues with getting parts shipped in and getting everybody back to work and getting enough people to work and everything. So it's been a struggle, but I would say probably the end of next year we'll start to see everything on a more regular scale. We do have a challenge coming up that started more recently, though, with the interest rates increasing. So for most people, a car is the second most expensive thing that they buy after their house. And most people don't pay cash for it. They have to finance it. So as interest rates tick up, just like we're trying to control the housing market with increasing interest rates, it's having an effect on the auto market as well, and any other thing that's going to be financed. So good credit customers are now, used to you could easily get 0% financing on a car, or maybe 1% to 2%. But now good credit customers are getting 7, 8, 9, 10%. So monthly payments are really increasing. Cars have gotten more expensive. So, you're having to finance more, and now you're having to pay more financing fees. So it's getting more expensive to buy a car. And that is also having an effect on inventory. Fewer people are buying, there's more available to go around. So it's gonna be a weird, 12 to 18 months as the economy adjusts and as inventory starts to come back. But hopefully the good business practices that dealerships are gonna have to find and put in place over the next year or so are gonna serve them well in the long run as well.
How did you have to adjust your strategy to face those challenges?
Mm-hmm. So 2022, I would say, was the year of dynamic advertising at least for our dealerships. So very similar to how Amazon for a long time, if you browse a product or any e-commerce site, if you browse a product on their website, then you go to Facebook an hour later and it's right there in your news feed. Car dealerships have never really done that because you can't buy a car online. You have to go to the dealership. So they never really embraced dynamic advertising until more recently. And so now, in an effort to just get the inventory that was available at the time in front of customers so that people would know what they have and where they should come to get it, we started doing a lot more dynamic advertising. So we switched, a lot of our Facebook advertising became dynamic. Our video advertising, some of it became dynamic, display ads, and search ads as well. So with our search campaigns, we connected our ads to their inventory feeds. And if a car was available at the dealership, then we would run search ads for those vehicles. And if not, then we would turn those ads off. So one, it helped us save a little bit of money and be a little bit more efficient with our clients' budgets because we weren't running ads for vehicles that they didn't have in stock. But two, it allowed us to get our product right in front of customers in a way that we really hadn't done so before in a lot of normal advertising campaigns. You've been able to go to cars.com and Edmunds and places like that and view inventory for a while, but dealerships hadn't really, on the advertising side, embraced that as much as other e-commerce sites had.
Sure. So in saying that, were these ads like retargeting ads? Was someone had viewed a product, or was it, just in general, we have this product?
You can do both. So we can do retargeting where if you've went onto the dealership's website and looked at a Ford F-150, then we could show you that Ford F-150 next time you browsed. But we also could do it based off of your other online behavior. So if you had been shopping or Googling, a F-150 and the dealership happened to have one, then we could serve you an ad and show you our F-150, even if you hadn't looked at it yet. So we could do either one. Okay. And we did both most of the time.
And where are we getting that kind of data for that level of personalization?
We would get that from our ad platforms that are going to, they're watching what everybody's doing online. And so whether it's a social media platform that knows what kind of posts and pages that you follow and what kind of posts that you interact with most often, or whether it's a search engine that knows what you're searching for, or just any other like a display network that knows what kind of websites you visit and what you've been reading. We can use data from those partners to identify who we want to show an ad to in the first place, and then inside of that ad, which vehicles are going to showcase to that person.
Okay, so but previously we weren't doing that kind of advertising before the last year or two.
In automotive, we weren't doing it as much. I think in some other more e-commerce and more online sales-driven industries have been relying on that model for longer than the auto space has. But really in automotive, we were primarily focused on pushing out incentives and offers on vehicles and discounts and here's a service offer and here's why you should come into the dealership, because that's what would move people most often. But in the past year, the past couple of years, what's moved people most often is, do you have a car? Is it available right now? Can I come buy it?
Mm-hmm. So are those incentives still going on? Are you still using that kind of advertising? Or
somewhat? It really depends on the manufacturer. So the vehicles that are made in the United States, like Ford and GM and Chrysler vehicles, some of those have continued to push discounts. Most of the global brands have not. And so it really just depends on the brand and what the dealership is doing at the time. They honestly haven't had to push a lot of incentives because the customers and the sales have been there regardless. But especially as inventory comes back and as the economy gets a little bit more tight and people aren't buying as many cars, then that's definitely going to come back because we're going to have to be pulling people in some way.
Gotcha. So dynamic and personalized advertising was the major push for 2022. How do you see your industry building upon that into the next year?
Mm-hmm. So personalized advertising can include, any way that you tailor your ad to the person that is viewing the product. So for dynamic advertising, we're tailoring that ad to them based off of we're showing them vehicles that we think are most pertinent to them or that they would be most interested in looking at. But personalized advertising can extend beyond just dynamic advertising, and it can be tailored. The creative can be tailored. Like if you're in a certain city, then we can put the name of your city in that ad. We can put graphics or visuals that are from your city in your ad. If we know that you are in a certain stage of the buying process, so obviously everything starts out as research, and as you get closer to actually buying, then you move further into the sales funnel. So depending on how close to making that purchase decision, you're probably going to want different kinds of information. So we can customize that as well. So dynamic advertising is personalized advertising, but personalized advertising is a lot bigger than just dynamic. So some of the ways that we can continue to expand that past just showing inventory in ads is doing things like, if we know that you bought a vehicle 3 years ago and you're kind of in a cycle of every 3 years you buy a vehicle, then we can start sending you email campaigns that are like, hey, Caleb, I noticed that you bought a car, your last car in 2019. Here's some inventory that we've got on the lot right now. Say you bought a Ford Mustang. And so here's some Mustangs that we have on the lot right now. If you're ready to come in and look at one, just give us a call or whatever. So it can be in email campaigns. We can do it in display by customizing the look and how and the text on the ad. So like maybe we would show you a Mustang ad and we would show somebody else a truck ad and we would show somebody else an SUV ad. So there's a whole bunch of different ways that you can use personalized advertising, and really the point of it is just to make your ad more relevant to that person so that they're more likely to respond to it, so that they engage with it more, and the more likely they are to respond to it, and that's just going to move them closer to the ultimate buying decision.
Yeah, that sounds extremely effective. I guess the one question I have about that though is how many resources does that take to implement? Because it sounds like it's a significantly more work than what you did previously.
Mm-hmm. It is a lot more work. And so I say it's a lot more work. It is more work, and it can be a lot more work, but thankfully there are platforms now that there are like AI platforms that can help us to cut down on some of the manual labor. There's other automation platforms and dynamic creative generating platforms that can help us reduce the amount of time that it takes to put out a whole lot more. So, we can take design one display banner and just put 10 different variations of text, and then the platform will see what is this person like, what traits do they have, and it can pick which one. So we don't actually have to create 10 banners. We just kind of make a dynamic set, and it can tailor that way. For like email marketing, where you have to create different emails, you can use like placeholder text and fields and things like that to kind of build out exactly how you need it to be. So in years past, that would have required a whole lot more labor, especially on the creative production side. Now, thankfully, there are a lot of platforms that can reduce that for us.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, it sounds really cool and really effective. Do you is the proof for that? Have you seen increased conversions for your clients?
Yeah, so we have for example, on Facebook advertising, the benchmark for Facebook advertising for automotive Facebook ads is 0.8% as far as the click-through rate goes. And over the past year, ours has been over 2%. So it's almost 3 to 4 times better performance that we've been seeing once we switched to personalized ads on Facebook, ads that were more relevant to that person, and therefore they've been engaging with them more often. So definitely more traffic with our ads in general, and the more traffic you send back to the website, the more conversions and sales you're going to have.
Awesome. And in auto, I know in a lot of industries we're really going for attribution and reporting as being a big emphasis. In auto, is that become an emphasis in attributing your personalized ads to in-store sales?
Mm-hmm, definitely. We want to, of course, be able to say, this person looked at this ad and then bought this car. And the technology is improving where we can track that more so. There's always going to be, we're always going to be hampered by privacy restrictions and stuff like that some of the platforms have put out, which makes our jobs a little harder, but as a whole makes it a little bit better for everybody, more privacy. Sure. But yes, definitely. And we've got some different, like I said, there's different tools that can plug into dealerships' websites and can attribute some of their conversions back to or even sales. That once the dealership sells a car, that information goes into their CRM, and so we can take the sales data and using some of those tracking technologies, match that back to specific people and what kind of their journey was. So that helps not only with, is this ad effective, but also what order do people see ads in? Where do they start? Where do they go next? And what do they do next? And that can help us customize our messages based off of what information do we need to put on this channel for this particular stage of the process, and then how do we need to change our message for this particular platform where people may be closer to actually making their purchase decision.
Right. It's extremely helpful. A lot of times we say at this agency that auto drives innovation we see in other industries. So how do you think this innovation and personalization is going to trickle down into the other industries we're marketing in?
Right. So I would say that's almost always the case, that auto tends to move first and then other industries follow. But I think personalization is actually an area where automotive has been a little bit behind, and where we've seen, increased personalization from e-commerce platforms and online shopping sites and places like that for several years now. Automotive is really just now picking it up. And I think some of it is just because, we don't have e-commerce in automotive. There's nowhere where you can go buy a car online. You can go do all your research and look at what's available, but ultimately you have to go to a dealership or have the dealership come to you in order to make it happen. So they've been a little bit slower to move in some of the personalization stuff. But one of the good things about auto is that once they are, they're willing to try about anything, and usually have the budget to work with, and will allow us to try new things that may not be tested yet. So hopefully we can take some of the new creative platforms that we're using to make some of our dynamic creative for display ads and things like that, and some of the other dynamic search and things like that we're able to kind of test out and have been testing out this year. And as an agency, we can, maybe our team tries it first and kind of figures out what works best and what doesn't work, and then we can roll that out to other departments as well and kind of use it as a case study almost.
Awesome. Well, that's a lot of great stuff, Tanner. Thanks so much for joining us. We're really excited to see all the cool stuff SI Auto is going to do in 2023 and into the future. If you want to learn more about SI Auto, you can go to siauto.com. Check out their website, learn more about all the cool stuff they're doing in the car dealership space. Thanks so much for joining us.